Jason Tanton Bourelly, Mike Pombeiro. Man, how you guys doing?
Fantastic.
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for asking, Alex, and thanks for having us here, brother.
Yeah,
Yeah,
really
man. It's
appreciate it.
like this is this show is basically gonna be all martial arts fantasy. So it could be sometimes boxing. It'll be a lot of sport, karate, of course, movies. So it's a fun new show, and I hope you guys enjoy it. It's gonna be probably weekly or bi-weekly, and what two better guys to have for this than you guys? Because you guys are legends yourselves. You guys are legends yourselves. And I've been like Mike. I remember being a junior, seeing you for the first time in New England Open in the Coliseum in Boston, and you were, I think, wearing maybe orange and white, I think, and you were fighting in the middleweight grant, and you did like a cartwheel kick. And back then, I was kind of like, Nash the guy, right? I was like, who's that guy? And then you just got on Paul Mitchell, and boom, I became a great fan of you. Like ever since, and you've been in all these eras, 90s, 2000s, just to even a few years ago you were active, right? Pretty active, and it's just great. Your knowledge is there, and you're a legend. Like I grew up watching you, and Jason. Me and you. I think I was an adult just before you, but then. I saw you, like I was telling you, at the U.S. Open like one year, and you were doing that,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
Statue of Liberty axe kick. I'm like,
N-
who's this? What is
98.
that? And I was like, and then I just became a fan. Like, I've been, before that, it was like the
Yeah,
Pedros and the
appreciate you.
Bradys. But then I'm like, man, so I'm honored to have you guys on.
We
And
appreciate you.
it's going to be
Appreciate
a
it.
great show. So I'm going to let you guys go ahead and start. We have four for you guys today. Comment below who you guys pick as well. Give us your, your matchup. Who would win? Now, you know, these matchups are, you can debate about it. Like back then, the rules were different to now. A lot of things
Yeah,
factor in. So maybe you could talk about it any which way you want. What ifs or whatever. Okay,
yeah.
so I'm gonna go ahead and go down. I just want to enjoy this. I'm gonna get my popcorn and watch. I'll be back when it's on for the next one. Okay. All
Yes,
right.
sir.
Go ahead.
Well,
All right.
I wanted to say, hey, Jason, it's been a while. Uh,
Yes.
we were talking earlier. We go way back. I think the first time I actually fought Jason, he was maybe a junior or just about to turn adult. I was on Paul Mitchell. I was fighting with Pedro, and I forget who else in teams.
Steve
And I
Babcock.
remember hearing about you
Yep.
because you had fought Ryan and a couple of my other guys that I used to train with. And I was like, man, there's no way I'm going to let this junior come in on me. But I think we had a tough fight, and I think you tied with me, man. And I was like, there's no way that this young buck's going to do that to me. And I remember for years we've been going back and forth, just me beating you, you
Wow.
beating. I think maybe in the end you might have gotten me a couple extra times, but I think I came back even later, just recently to Rhode Island, and we
Yep.
sparred. Uh, so we're frenemies,
Yes,
man.
yes, yes. Yeah, I was, I knew you were the one to look out for when I was coming up. When I first got into the adult division, I knew I was, edging on being a middleweight. And yeah, I thought you were a mean fighter, man. Not in terms of you being a mean person, but you were just a mean fighter out there. And it was I knew I had to really, really, improve and learn a lot more after I saw you the first time. I think that most fighters don't realize that they probably learned the blitz from you in some form. That you kind of carried that move to another level. And that's what's so popular now, the blitz. But I feel as though you kind of perfected that blitz, and a lot of people kind of copied your way of doing it, and with from the footwork to I mean, unless it's a California thing, but you were the first one I saw really just. I mean, it was hard to stop, But yeah, then we became rivals, and but somehow we would always end up doing some things together, and got to know each other better on the other side. So I appreciate you.
That's why I say frenemies. You came to California for a little bit.
Yeah.
You remember we
Yep.
um, a couple funny things, a couple funny stories I just mentioned real quick. I remember one time we were sparring, and in the dojo. And then sometime after we I think you moved out of California, we started talking. And you came up to me and you said, "Mike, yo, dog, why you always like fighting like we had competition even at the
It
dojo? Like,
it
I
was
killed."
it was harder than competition. I was like, what's going on? He was like full. Mike was like hitting me like,
Hey,
oh man,
how I
like
was talking.
Chicago style. Yeah, that's how we came up, and it was like I just didn't expect it. And I mean, it was like combinations and hitting, sparring hard, and
And
I
no
was
look
just like, oh, okay, you know,
too
yeah.
hard. Ribs and my face was gonna feel your kicks because, like you said about my punches, your kicks were lethal and deadly and deceptive, and you
Oh
were
man,
that little lean stance as well. And then, like I said, also, you talked about us getting together. We went to, I believe it was Curtis Page,
yeah,
got rest his soul. He passed away, but we went to Curtis Page's event. We did a team fight out there with me, you, Raymond, Jack,
yeah,
Manny Boudreaux, and Tara Van Duzen, which,
yeah,
one of my highlights because I mean, I've never got to fight with you. We've always fought
yeah.
against
That
each
was
other.
awesome. Yep.
We had an awesome event. I just remember a lot of funny things happening there. Do
Yes.
you remember about when you couldn't figure out the shower and you had to use my
Yes.
shower?
I did. I think I used because there was like a phone. It looked like a phone booth, and it was see through, and it was just like a glass phone booth with a shower. And I said, well, I'm not using that one. And I think I went in that like the community bathroom and used the sink. That's like it was interesting, and they were trying to wonder like how I did that. You all were trying to figure out like my process with that, just
It's
like a bird. It's just like a bird.
you couldn't figure out. You were telling us how to turn the water from the faucet to the shower. So
Yeah,
and you were like trying to go underneath the faucet, trying to
yeah.
go with the sink and just do it
That
that way.
that
I
we were
was
at a guest house. Yeah.
laughing so hard. And then I remember fighting Michael Page and Raymond fighting Michael Page. And for some reason, I think you guys said, "Hey, Mike, you're the vet. Why don't you get on the mic?" And
Yes.
I remember just like a lot of people hyping me up about us getting bad calls and this and that. And I remember calling Michael Page a few select words. One of them might have been the B word. If you look up YouTube later on, I fought him in Ocean State, and you can see me and him having words because we had some beef ever since then. But
Yes.
we've patched it up. I don't know. I've tried reaching out to Michael Page. He hasn't answered back, so maybe that means something.
I don't know. It was entertainment. I think you were entertaining. It was like you got on the mic and you made a statement. To the whole crowd, and
You,
something to the fact of us.
you
Not
got.
getting the calls in his hometown, and
Oh my God, what
yeah, yeah,
are you saying? But also, you remember
that's
the
entertainment. Yeah.
we went to JC Cashman's tournament, and then you fought,
Yes.
and you ended up throwing the nastiest spinning back kick I've ever seen in my life, and you ended up, I mean, you splattered Billy Bryce's arm into three.
Yeah.
I have never seen that in my life. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that. I must have just hit him just right because that was alarming because his arm was kind of went limp, and I mean that's a spinning back kick. Spinning back kicks hurt. I know from blocking. They hurt.
He blocked it. Imagine if he
Yeah.
did.
Yep.
He
Yeah.
blocked, his arm shattered. And I remember there was no nurses there, no medics. My wife was the only nurse. We had to break a piece of wood from the ring,
Ah.
tie it up. Remember how bad he was sweating? 1 minute
Yes.
and his shirt was sopping wet. But dude, that was the nastiest. And that's what people forget. Not only were you
Yeah.
one of the nastiest kickers in the sense of like flexibility and the ability to throw some of the gnarliest things, but you kicked damn hard for
Oh,
a minute.
thank you.
I
Well,
mean,
you're one of the only fighters that I fought that every time I fought you, I was concerned about getting hurt. Usually in point fight, I'm not concerned about that. But there's a couple people. You're one of them that I was concerned about getting hurt. Like I was like, this is a point fight, but and that's kind of like a lost art. Is kind of like, well, someone can be scoring a couple points and you can switch the momentum by hitting them, making them feel the shot, taking the warning or whatever, or just hitting with a clean shot, and then it changes the fight. It changes the fighter, So that was an obstacle, and then you would kick as well. You would kick me in the head, and I'm like, where'd that come from? Like. get underneath my leg or something. So I mean, you're. I don't know if you realize how copied you are. A lot of people copy you and copy things that you do. You know, whether it's something small or it has to do with the hands. And I've watched that. I've watched people kind of develop under you, and people who have been teammates with you kind of start doing things the way you do it. So I don't know, I don't know if they give you credit, but I've seen it. I've seen it.
Appreciate you saying that. And another thing that I think that people underestimate is your ability not only to fight, but you're a triple threat. Not many guys are. Kevin Thompson's one of the best guys I can think of that could do all of it. But you're one of those
Yeah,
other guys that if and Ross, there's very few. I mean, I maybe
yeah,
could one hand, but you're one of them that man. You
yeah.
would the forms divisions, creative,
Yeah,
traditional.
thank you. Yeah, I should have kept practicing that because that's a major loss for me not practicing that more, because I think that's what kept me so fit as a fighter. But when I stopped competing in form so much, I stopped practicing it as much, and I can say that was a mistake for anybody who does all of it. Keep doing it all, because
One of those pitchers, but you would throw that jump, spin, split kick, and you'd be like, I mean, I swear to me, it was like eight.
back in the day. That's when you feel free. You have that freedom, and then you get older and you get more responsibilities, and it gets heavier. You get heavy. You got more on your shoulders. It's like, oh, it's hard to jump now.
Alex got us back, but we're on a different thing. We're here to
Yeah,
give back sport martial arts. We're going to
yeah,
sit here, break down some fights. Hopefully,
yeah.
people off. I got a feeling that we're not going to make everybody happy, but
No, no.
we're going to come up with what I'm going to do for me. I'm going to come up with the best version of that person against the best version. When I say that, like a good example, to me in my later years, I didn't think like I was as disciplined and as dedicated as I was earlier on when I was that hungry lion, and I wanted to get there. So for me, like if I wanted to get judged, I would want to get judged when I was on top and doing my thing.
Yeah,
So like everybody today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take probably their best moment, like when I thought they were at their hottest. Because I mean, some of these guys lasted a good 15, 20 years like
yes,
yourself.
yep,
But there's that few years where you were just like, wow, he's or she's the man. And that
right,
kind
yep,
of do today. I want to kind of like take the best moment of their era, of their time against the best of the other person's time, kind of like take their assets and kind of feel like who would win. And the other thing is too is I don't know what we're going to go by rules, but I'm going to say because we're on today, we'll go with today's type rules
right.
for fighting because old school fighting. I mean, scores were like 2-1,
Yeah,
3-2.
yeah.
You'd have to throw like and land like 10 shots just to score a point. That was
But
old school.
we adapted though. We adapted. I think that when we went to Europe, and it was different. It was very different, and we adapted right away. And I think that that's important for any champion, whether they're from the '80s or the '70s or the '90s. They can adapt to the situation. They can see sometimes you have to start throwing what the judges are calling. I
Yeah,
mean that's unfortunately you got to make that switch. You have to adapt, and I
yeah.
think that we did a good job at that. I
Oh yeah.
think other champions, some we're going to talk about today, I think they would be able to adapt.
I
May take a couple tournaments, but
I
you
agree.
know,
I
yeah,
totally. Well, I'm ready for the first fight whenever Alex is. So, who do we
yeah.
got?
I think it's Billy Blanks and Cam. I'm gonna take
You want to
this
go?
off. Let me see. Can you still? Can you hear me?
Absolutely. You want to go first?
You can hear me.
Or you want me to go first on this one?
Okay. Well, I'll say that this is hard. I'll lead it off. I think that like you said, Mike, it's very difficult because you have to kind of take the rules into account, and the type of sport that how the sport has evolved. But when it comes down to it, champions can adapt. I think that this first matchup with Billy Blanks being kind of ahead of his time as far as trying things in the ring. You know, he wasn't always a straightforward, uh, point fighter. He would try some things, and he tried to kind of change the game. He kind of he tried to kind of there was like a paradigm shift going on in his mind, and he was trying new things, and I think that Cam is kind of bringing back that um, that whole idea of being creative in the ring, because again, it kind of got back, to being straightforward, reverse punch. Um, most of the time, just a very linear fight, not a lot of like uh, tricky moves, and Cam being like a student of the game, um, and also being very strong. He has a lot of tools that they had back when Billy was on top. He has those tools, but he also has that creativity that Billy exhibited, but probably a little more polish, because I mean, it's something when you're the first one to start doing cartwheel kicks in the ring, and then it's something different when you've seen it and you've been able to. I mean, now people hear each other with cartwheel kicks all the time, and it's worth 3 points or whatever. But I think that this is tough. I would have to go with Cam because I believe that he's a little more polished. I think that Billy Blanks, if it wasn't for Billy Blanks, there are a lot of things that just in terms of that creativity in the ring, that wouldn't even really be a thing as much as it is today. He's the first person that I ever heard of doing a cartwheel kick. But then we just, we took it and we ran with it, and we were able to uh, it developed over the last 20 years. People are doing it now. And I don't know if Cam can bench press 475 pounds like Billy. He's Billy Blanks was just what an athlete. I mean, he probably could have done any sport. But as far as point fighting, I see Cam having most of the uh, tools that Billy had, uh, except a little more polished. What do you think?
Hey, we're pissing a lot of people off. I saw Hector. For people that don't know who Hector Santiago is, that's the previous coach back in the day of the world famous Metro All Star team. And I saw him posting Billy all day. So I know we're going to piss off some old school people. For
Yeah, yeah,
Billy, I'm from back east. So Billy's from Massachusetts, for people that don't know. Um, and John Payton actually was a student of his. He was killing it out there in the mid 80s. And like you said, he was ahead of his time. He was that guy that I think what we need more of today is that people that are going to put sport karate on the map are people that make it exciting and that do kind of like what Raymond's doing nowadays. I mean, in the MMA world and kickboxing, I mean, he's highlighting and
yeah,
maybe wow, point fighters maybe they are pretty cool because I mean, you look at him, Michael
yep.
Page,
Maybe they can do it.
too. But I mean, honestly, I got to say those guys got to pay homage to Billy Blanks because if it wasn't for him, he's the one that started this stuff. He was doing the front flip
Absolutely.
cartwheel kick. And I think also that was his Achilles heel. He would win his division, but he wouldn't win the grands. He would lose to Nasty. He would lose to Anthony Price, Terry Creamer. He would lose to the bigger guys. And I think part of the reason why is because he would always want to finish with that Michael Jordan esque type,
Right.
amazing move. Like he couldn't just win, he had to win with something spectacular. And I think
Yeah.
that's what would not allow him to win, but also would make him the most popular person at the time to watch. Everybody would want to watch that guy.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
um, his conditioning. I mean, look at his Taibo program. That's why he started that Taibo program, and that's one of the ways he stayed great. And I think he's
Yeah.
also very underrated for takedowns. If you ever watch his fights, he had some
Yeah.
of the takedowns. I went to go train with him one time
Yes.
and he took me down with one of the nastiest takedowns that I didn't expect because I don't get taken down a
Right.
lot. He scooped my leg and kicked my foot up, and before you know it, I was like 5, 6 feet high, ready to slap down. And I
Yeah.
was amazed. So his athleticism, he's quick. I don't think he does well going back. He uses good footwork, but if you watch some videos, he keeps his hands down. I think
Yeah.
Cam is really good at pressing, pushing people back. He's really good at closing the distance with the sidekick if he doesn't use it to score, kind of like you. And then if he gets to you, he's going to put that other kick on that next open spot. He's going to hit you with a round kick, a hook kick, or he might even back fist you because he's got that really deceptively fast back fist. And that's the one thing about Nasty. Sorry, Nasty Mafia. Sorry, I'm mixing it up. Billy. He would throw that fake and he would throw that down. And I think. Cam's just too quick. He would catch him with that back fist and probably get up on some points, push him back. And I think Billy would have a hard time. I ultimately think I agree with you on this one. I would say Cam, too strong, uh, old school, very technical, and I think he's there to win. He don't care how he does it. He'll do it dirty. He'll do it however
Yeah.
he's going to do it. But I think I agree with you on this one. He's going to take the win, and I know we're going to piss off a lot of old school people, but oh well.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I know if he got, I mean, the fight does change when you get hit by someone as powerful as Billy, or if you get taken down,
hey, he
and we don't get to see that. We don't get to see how Cam would react to that, in terms of being taken down, or haven't really seen anybody muscle him as far as punching, hitting is concerned.
he
So
broke Fast Feet Fontanez's jaw back
yeah,
in what is it in Madison Square Garden with a spinning hook kick. Clearly, almost took his face off. So yeah, he kicks hard too. I agree with you. That could change the fight, but I think Cam's a
yes,
tough guy, man. He's
yes,
dad Gerald probably smacking the you know what out of him. I mean, and Gerald's like 300 plus pounds, so I
yeah,
don't think Cam is going to be that affected by some solid shots. I think he's been getting beat all his life.
yes.
That's just my feeling. But
Yeah,
any
his dad threw some spinning hook kicks that just missed me.
oh, dude,
Very happy that
it's
they missed.
fast for a big guy. But let's get on to this next
Yeah.
fight. And I'll take this one
Yeah.
first last time.
Okay.
Linda Denley versus Nikki Carlson. And for me, Linda, we're talking about mid 80s. Linda, when she was, a little bit younger, because I mean, you remember, I think I remember her even in the 90s or late 90s doing NBL tournaments and still tearing
Yes.
and winning. But for her,
Yes.
Texas fighter, old school, tough. I mean, she has that mean front leg. She fights with the right leg forward. She likes to throw that side kick. She had a mean back fist, and she also had a mean reverse punch. She had a great double leg lead leg, and she'd also, if she backed you up, she would throw that back leg roundhouse double. Um, she would start people all the time, and then
Yeah.
after she starts you, she'd go and do the worst insult, would just pick you up and say, "Are you okay?" after she just starched you. Because I used to hate when people would hit me hard and
Yeah.
then ask, "I'm okay." Like, get off of me. I'm all right.
Yeah.
But she was very intimidating with back people up. But the one thing I did notice when she fought people like Lori Lantrip, Arlene Lemus, people that would back her up or weren't afraid to fight her at times, they would do a little bit better with her. So that's one of her things that I noticed is she was a good intimidator, but I feel that she needed a little bit more footwork, a little bit more movement because she was very linear. Because she would be bully people. She didn't have to use footwork. She could just
Right.
walk people and pounce on them. But now Nikki Carlson Lee, for me, she's a little bit different fighter. She had that really high chamber. I'm talking about mid 90s, not when she was on your team fighting with Dottie. I'm talking
Right.
about with Rick in her back, coaching. She was wearing her Spartanburg uniform, her
Right.
team dojo. She was killing it. I mean, she was amazing. She had that high leg chamber. She would throw that side kick again, kind of like you have that high chamber when people try to kick with you. It's really hard because usually the higher chamber wins, and that's what people don't realize why it's hard to fight you. And I think the same thing with Nikki. She got that high chamber, and not only is she good at backing you up, but once she backs you up, she has such a quick leg to pop off of that round hook. And she also likes that axe kick. Another thing is when she gets pushed back, Dottie White used to push her back. Instead of fighting back with her, she was really good at bouncing, using the ring, sucking her in, and then when you drop your leg, she would blitz you, or she would try to set up with that axe and blitz. And for me, I definitely think Linda Denley's going to get her cracks. She's going to hit Nikki, and I've seen Nikki get rocked by Dottie. Dottie, even though she's small, she's a very technical puncher, hits hard. But to me, I think Nikki's too versatile, too good of a mover. Um, I think if it's Texas rules, see, this is what I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
You throw groin as a point, this is a whole different fight. I
Yeah.
think you
We had
groin,
that in Chicago.
take away Nikki's lead leg. This is a different fight. But you talk about today's fight where you can't kick in the groin and you get that lead leg up. I think Nikki's going to be too much for her. Another thing is Linda fights like this, and the problem
Yes.
like this is you sidekick someone, you trap that arm, that back fist around his house is going to be there all day. So I ultimately think
Yeah.
again, new schooler, people are going to be pissed off, but I think Nikki takes this one unless it's Texas rules, unless it's full contact. I
Right.
think Barn, I think Nikki's got this one. So what do you think, sir?
Yeah. I did notice. I did notice that it was a lot tougher to get the call sometimes. When Linda was in her prime, if if someone who had just seen how point fighting is today, and then they would watch Linda Denley fight, or Mafia Holloway, and they would see maybe something that they would consider a point, but it wasn't getting called. It was different. You could actually steal the fight back in the 80s. Someone may hit you first, but you may hit them 5 times, and you could steal the fight like that.
Yeah,
um, very very easily, it seemed. What I well, first of all, yeah, I love these two fighters. I respect them both so much. So yeah,
definitely.
somebody's gonna be mad at me maybe, but this is and probably most people are gonna disagree with me. Um, I think that Nikki, that front leg is so precise. Um, she knew how to kind of throw a couple kicks lighter and then whip that last one, and it was right on the money. She really knew how to set up, not just the chamber and the kicking ability, but she knew how to set up for the kick, to land the kick clean. And most of the points that she scored were very obvious. They were flush, boom. Uh, and I've seen her kick everybody with that kick, with the axe kick. I thought I was the axe kicker, but I tell you what, when we were going to do a team workout, and back when we were on CJB, and I was thinking before the workout, like all week, I was like, man, I hope I don't have to spar her, because I didn't know. I was like, what am I going to do? I don't know. I don't want to spar her. And it's funny because ask Thomas Wright. He sparred Claire Kokoza, and it was like, these I was going to get kicked in the face, and I didn't know like what I
Hey,
was how I was going to feel. And
to
yeah,
prove
she's so precise and so strong with the kick, and she is tall. That's another thing.
absolutely
Um,
good
what
reach.
I did see, when Dottie would back her up, she would kind of angle and then come with the hands. Um, is a little different than what Linda would do, though. Linda, first, I feel like she could fight on both sides. She definitely could kick on both sides. She did have that hand. She had that style, or usually it was over here, so she was open. Uh, if Nikki had the distance, but another thing I noticed was that Linda would step over the line immediately. She would go forward immediately. Uh, it's like go, and she'd be over that line. Um, Probably a little more difficult to adjust and get the distance you need to kick with that front leg. And then she had a nice angle on her punches. A ridge hand, she throw that ridge hand. Sometimes a combination follow up with the back leg roundhouse kick. I'm not sure that back leg roundhouse kick would have worked with Nikki, because she wasn't on the correct side. But it was just the habit of throwing combinations and then angling off to the side. I saw her do that to Arlene Lemus, who was a great kicker. And um, I was wondering why, I saw them fight. I didn't see all of their fights, but I did see one fight in particular, why Arlene wasn't kicking as much. And I think it's because uh, Linda would close the distance. And when you get hit, When you have that foot up in the air and somebody can neutralize your leg and hit you with a punch, you think twice about lifting that leg up, because it's like in a street fight. My dad would always say, you're probably not going to kick somebody in the head on the street because you're too vulnerable. It leaves you vulnerable. But like when you would check my leg and punch me, then I would be thinking about kicking. I'd be like, okay, I got to do something different, especially if it hurt. You know what I mean? I think that Linda had that ability to kind of change a fighter and to make them fight differently than they used to. I think that Dottie was good at kind of neutralizing the leg because she would kick at the same time. Um, and the only other thing is that when Dottie would follow up, she'd be pretty much straightforward. Linda had that angle when she would follow up. She could get past the kick. Um, she was very athletic, just like Nikki, and fighting on both sides. That's and throwing combinations every time she went in. You know what I mean? I think that gives her the advantage. I think that strategy wise, she would stay close to Nikki and she would back her up, and it wouldn't be the same as when someone came in straight. Linda would tilt that head and or slip. Like in boxing, she would slip and throw the punch, and she threw them hard, and she would go through the leg. I mean, sometimes, like I said, she would get hit on the way in, but she would plow through the technique. And yes, I think Nikki's more polished uh, in some ways, in a lot of ways. But in this instance, I think with the matchup, that Linda would make the adjustment and take it. If anybody could do it, and I have not seen Nikki lose that much, or have someone back her up that much. Usually, she's backing people up. But I think that Linda would have the advantage. She has more, um, you know, I don't want to say more of a skill set. She has more in her arsenal. She can do many things. She can kick on both sides, and she can punch you know, with uh, with a lot of you know uh, style and grace. She's very graceful with her movement. I think that Linda would take this one.
I personally would have loved to see Linda be in this era because I think I agree with you. If she was, I would agree with you if she was born later, where their footwork was more of a thing. I think
Right.
I think she would be a completely different fighter. I mean, I think we'd be
Yeah.
talking about her being the GOAT. Because ultimately, I think her mindset is definitely one of those that, she'd go in there. Like I said, she was doing sport karate for at least 20, maybe plus years, still doing NBL when I was young. And I
Yeah.
had her on like old footage, like on NBC and ABC Sports and stuff. So, I
Yeah.
mean, I can only imagine if she was born. And just not to cut you off, but the Nikki Carlson Lee, I got to tell you a story. One time when Brian Ruth did a seminar for her and Rick Lee in Spartanburg, and I had the same thing where Rick said, "Hey, Nikki wants to spar with both of you guys." So I spar with her, and she's a girl, man, and you can't, that's part of about being a guy, where the girls don't care, but they want to fight and show they can hang with us. But us guys, we don't want to hit a girl because it's a lose lose situation. Because then you look like a bully when you hit them, right?
I,
So
I
Carlson,
I just didn't want to get hit. I didn't
hey,
want to get hit.
so
I knew
Nikki,
she could hit me with. I was like, I don't want to get hit.
Nikki
Yeah.
was blitzing me, and I hit her with sidekick, fadeaway sidekick, and it wasn't hard, right? And I remember she followed through and slapped slapped me up. Pop, pop, pop. I looked at Brian. I said, listen, I'm about to treat her like a man. And I just started side kicking like I was kicking you. Like you were coming at me, man. I was kicking her for my life, trying to keep her off me because every time I kicked her, she would just keep coming. She would just
Yes.
had to
Yeah.
keep kicking because she
Yeah.
was
She was.
trying to kill me, trying to give me the business, man.
I'm sure she could have won the men's division on several occasions.
I think both these ladies
Yeah.
could beat 85, maybe 90% of the men in the division. Absolutely, for
Yeah.
sure.
That
Because
axe kick. that axe kick had so much whip on it. I mean, it was so precise.
Absolutely.
And she could kick you when you were close to her as well. She could kick you. She could lift up that leg when you were, very close and hit you with the axe kick. So that goes back to the high chamber thing. I mean, she could. I haven't seen her scrap too much. In the middle of the fight, maybe
With
when her and Dottie got into it, that was classic at Battle of Atlanta. But
with
I've
her,
never seen her go back and forth with the hands primarily. But that kick was so dangerous, and she had a side kick too. She had a side kick that could back you up. Linda used to throw that's a side kick too, but it was lower. It was almost like a hip check. She would just kind of check you with it, and then use it to follow up with her hands. That's what Nasty Anderson used to always say. I knew they were really good friends. Rest in peace, Nasty
hey,
Anderson.
hey,
But he said he didn't kick to score. He usually just kicked to set up his hands,
yeah,
and
hey,
but he
hey,
could kick to score.
real quick, because I want people to know, because
Yeah.
we got history. But if you guys look up, because I was looking up fights, there's a fight with Linda Denley and Shavella Aaron. You,
Yes.
you gotta check out that fight. That's a classic.
And Shavella Aaron had the reputation for
Ooh,
being like hit
man.
you like a man, and
Joe
Linda, I
Mike
feel, you
from
know,
school, so
dominated at
uh,
the end of that. Linda was the one who was backing her up, and that was, I kind of showed me, she was a little bit different.
oh yeah,
With
tough,
she would step over the line right away. She
tough.
was never hesitant to step right over the line, and she had something to counter almost everything. So, but
Now
that was a good one.
I
Yeah,
guess this one to me was the toughest one. The next one coming up, and this
yeah.
is your fight, man. And I don't know how you don't pick Trevor Nash, and if you don't pick Trevor Nash, I don't know who you picked. I'm just saying
Yeah.
this is your home dog, your home slice. If you don't pick him, you probably are gonna get a phone call from him, Chelsea, the whole family.
He
Everybody
knows I love him, so it
everybody
doesn't.
calling you, but
But I know he's competitive. He's
I
very competitive,
I
you
have
know.
history with both these guys. I fought Mafia on my way in, and I was fighting Trevor on my way out. So I fought both of these guys.
Yeah.
I had the hardest time trying to figure this fight out. I kind of flip flopped a couple times on this one. So you want to go first or I go first? It
Well,
don't matter.
which one was the toughest for you to fight? Which one gave you? I mean, because styles make fights, but
You know,
for you personally, which one gave
it's
you?
really hard. This is what's really hard for me. Mafia to me, I looked up to like a god. Mafia showed me how to blitz. I used to beat his students when I was coming up when they were on Metro. Then Metro kind of folded up, and I remember him inviting me to his studio out in Plymouth, and I used to train with him, Pedro, the Brady's, and his instructor Sonny D. That's the name he'd go by. Would be training, would be doing drills and doing stuff, and they would just kick my butt and beat me up. And Mafia was very very intimidating. He would grab my butt, tell me he's going to get a piece of that later when I'm in his division. Always trying to like get in my mind. So he wasn't only a very skilled fighter, he was so tactical mentally, and he taught me a lot of this
Yeah.
stuff. Also made me strong mentally
Yeah.
coming up. He's also another guy that was ahead of his time where he would fight in between fights. I've yet to see this. He would change uniform and come out in a completely different uniform to fight the next guy out of nowhere. Like who does that? Who
With the
takes off?
cape on, everything.
Yeah, who takes off all their gear, goes and changes to a totally different gi with tassels
Yeah.
fight. I mean, he was all about it, but he backed it up. But I was still young, so I really feel that Mafia um, gave me a harder time when I was coming up because I was young. But Trevor, when I fought him, I was a little bit, in my strong adult youth, and he was still coming up, and he was still kind of like lanky, kind of like Raymond, where he was like easy to throw around, but he was very gumby with that leg
Right.
and
Right.
throw awkward stuff, falling down, kicking, falling, catching himself, blitzing off the ground. He would throw some of the awkwardest stuff. But to me, the better Trevor is the later Trevor when he became that nice, strong heavyweight. But the light heavyweight, not light heavyweight, but
Right.
when he's in shape and he's
Right.
just strong and he can push people around with that leg
Yeah.
and still has the goodly leg, excuse me, and still has that nice hand. Uh, so for me, I didn't fight too much of that Trevor. I fought more of the younger Trevor. He was still tough though. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, but I felt like if I would have fought the later Trevor, he would have definitely gave me a lot harder time because he kept it real technical. He still had a lot of like he has that very rubbery lead leg and very
Right.
decisive. You don't realize how far he can reach because he throws that little slide and he just throws little weird things. Even his blitz, he kind of bends forward to reach to get that extra extension on top of him being already long. So Trevor, for me, Trevor, what did I write about him? Another thing is he's left leg forward. I hate left. But these guys both fight left leg forward. So that
Yeah.
would be a thing to begin with because, left leg forward, these guys both kick. Everything's
Yeah.
there. Side kick,
Yeah.
round kick. So it would be very interesting to see both these guys. But for me, it's tough because Mafia to me was better when he was a middleweight, just turned light heavyweight. He used to be a lightweight, but he started putting on the pounds when he was light heavy, just got into light heavy, he was still strong and fast, but wasn't quite the fluffy, swollen mafia where he wasn't really training hard. When he
Right.
was that, he was athletic, fast. He had that. He could kick both sides. He could blitz
Yes.
both. He was the one that actually taught me how to counter with the spin hook kick when I used to throw. That's the guy. I don't know
Yeah.
how many times he hit me, and he actually one time when I turned to adults, he hit me with the spin hook kick. I was seeing stars. I remember my pride got the best of me. I got back up. I wasn't ready to fight, but I told him I was. He hits me with a cartwheel next. My mom was there. My mom never went to a tournament after that. But like I said, both these guys are very talented. But I think Trevor, in his later years, when he was a little bit stronger, dude, he fought with Raymond. He could hang with Raymond.
Yeah.
Saw him fight with Avery and do well with him. I just don't see how. I mean, these guys fight each other. I see
Yeah.
Mafia taking out of 10 fights, maybe 3 or 4. But I ultimately think in the long run, I think Trevor wins this one. But
Okay.
again, this one's a tough one. But I think Trevor wins it
Yeah.
because of his length. And another thing too, I wanted to mention, Mafia's really good at checking the leg. Listen, Mafia, I learned blitzes from Mafia, cartwheel kicks from Mafia, spinal kicks, and checking. So
Yeah.
all you have to give credit to me for my stuff on that. I got to give props and homage to Mafia Holloway. He taught me all that stuff. If it wasn't for him, I don't think I'd be that guy. He was
Yeah.
amazing at checking the leg. The only problem with that is Trevor's really hip. You check out a fight with me. I fought him recently at the Diamonds. I should have been in better shape, but I got up to a good start with Trevor by checking his leg. But Trevor is really good at adjusting.
Yeah.
He a little bit further, started throwing the kick, and this is milliseconds. You don't have time to think. I would go reaching for that leg, and he would just pull that leg out and just pop me with a round of hook. A couple other times he let me check the leg on purpose, but as soon as I leaned, he had that hand up and follow up with a back fist. So he was in essence countering my counter. So
Yeah.
Trevor man, really quick at adapting, and I think that's what he would do. He would get caught with a couple shots, but I think he would adapt real quick, and I think eventually he would take the win on this one. That's what I think myself. So
I think you made some great points. I think that yeah, Trevor has he's really evolved. His style has evolved, from when I first met him to he was leaner and you could kind of try to push him around or tie up with him and throw him off balance. Then he just got stronger and stronger and stronger. And wow, I mean, I've seen him even recently in Europe uh, fighting guys who are in their prime, like Tomas from Hungary, and I was just amazed at how Trevor took care of that fight and totally overwhelmed him. And because Tomas is amazing. He's fast and
He doesn't get
um,
credit for being smart. He doesn't get credit for being smart. People think because he's big and
yeah,
he's, but Trevor, he is smart. He makes
he,
adjustments.
absolutely.
Really good fighters notice that, but he makes adjustments.
He he go. One thing that I, just from my experience with him, I try not to be biased because Trevor is my brother and we did a lot together, and I love him.
I'm not gonna
Um,
like Trevor, but I
what's
still
that?
and I don't like Trevor, and I don't mean that on a bad way, but I mean as in competitors
Yeah, yeah, yep,
like you. But I mean ultimately, I respect you
yep,
guys. I can't. I gotta respect the skill set.
yeah,
Gotta respect. He's the type of guy when you push him,
yep,
some people will back up. This
yep.
guy, he likes it.
Yes,
You
he does,
with
and he
Johnny,
really
I saw a
he
fight with him late, and he looked at Johnny and he smiled and he was like, "Okay, it's on,
yep,
brother."
and he
Like
comes hard,
he likes it.
and,
He likes.
and he'll start throwing some boxing combinations out there. He comes hard, and he can take a hit. He can dish him out. Um, Mafia, on the other hand, uh, simply amazing. Kind of like reminds me of Linda Dentley, in respect to using both legs so well because he could switch. I saw him fighting Anthony Price when I was 15. And this was probably towards the end of his he probably wasn't in his prime still.
Absolutely.
But Anthony Price was a giant. Anthony Price, so to me, I mean, you're tall, Raymond Daniels is tall, Jody's tall, but Anthony Price was another kind of tall,
I think he's 6'5", bro. He's six
Yeah,
five. I times he's huge.
and very strong. And I saw that Mafia wasn't deterred at all from countering, closing distance, coming in with punches, and um, getting caught. Even I think he ended up being hurt at the end of that fight for a shoulder injury. But I was 15 then. It was at Bluegrass, and at the time I thought that Anthony Price was unbeatable. He was like, when you're 15 and you see somebody do what he did, I just said no one could ever beat Anthony Price in my mind. When I during those years, I think also because I used to go to Bluegrass every year because it was close to Chicago, and he won like 3 years in a row. So I just said, oh man. And then I saw him, I think, fighting
He
Billy Blanks.
he beat me the next year for that. I think he beat me the next year for that third
Yep.
one.
I mean, he was, and he had the big belt, right? The big thick. I mean, he had character.
He
But Mafia Holloway was was not discouraged at all. I saw also Mafia fight Hakeem Austin in, like, it looked like a phone booth they were fighting in. It was a small ring, and he was not um, one for backing up too much. He came with a lot of moves. He came with combinations. He had finesse, and he kept his composure. So, if the type of fighter that could beat Trevor is one who can try to out finesse him, not try to go head to head, or people made that mistake trying to go hard and clash with him, and he's too smart for that, or just playing like a kind of like a game with him, back and forth. And Trevor, it has too many tools for that. You can't just stand there. You can't try to overpower him. You have to really try to out finesse him. So with a lot of footwork, like we talked about earlier, some tricky movement. For me, it was hard to fight him because he fought with his left leg forward. So I was a right leg kicker,
he let
and I used to always say if Trevor fought with his right leg forward, then this fight would be much easier for me. But because he was so good on the left side in the states, we weren't used to that. We were used to people with their right side forward. I think it's something you get accustomed to matching up against. And then we go to Canada and everybody had their left side forward and throwing that reverse punch, but they didn't kick like Trevor. So I think he had some tools he developed, and he got better and better and better. I mean, he's the type of fighter who could come out now and be at his best. Uh, but Mafia had Yeah, he was so far ahead of his time. It seemed like he could do everything, and he kept his composure. I didn't see him get angry or get thrown off his game when somebody hit him hard. At least I haven't seen that. I'm sure maybe it's happened. It happens to all of us sometimes. We get thrown off our game. Um, but because Trevor likes to fight hard, because he's kind of, you come at him a certain way, he turns it up. And not only does he want to score on you, but he wants to hit you. And he starts, you know, because he's so tall. There's some openings in there, and that's the only way that I could beat him was when I kind of, when we were juniors, it was different. But when we became adults, and he was very strong, the only thing I could do is look for those holes, and I could usually find those holes, for the most part in my best years. Um, that was the only way I could beat Trevor. I mean, I could see he was coming hard. He was strong. I couldn't stand still, not even for a second. But as long as I kept moving, I could find some holes here and there. And I didn't have, I fought Trevor 6 times for the diamond. He beat me 4 times. I beat him twice. Um, and every one of them was very very hard. I think I fought him in the open weight too, and I won. But every fight was so hard because I had to work the entire time. I could not stand still. Um, but as long as I was moving and I was in shape and I could, I was in shape athletically, I could usually find the holes. And I think it's because maybe because he's longer. It takes him a little longer to put together a combination. And I know that Mafia was good at that. I saw him fight taller, stronger fighters, and he was able to find the holes. Sometimes I saw he wasn't getting points. I was like, man, he scored on him. Blitzen hit him with a reverse punch to the body, then hit him in the head. He had that back fist off of his front leg that was ridiculous. It was like, how did he get there? He was all the way over here with his leg out, and then all of a sudden, he had that back fist over the top that was so fast. It looked like his hand was connected to his foot. Um, I think that it's similar to Linda and Nikki. I think that it's almost the same type of matchup, Mafia and Trevor. Uh, I think that Mafia would find the holes and win the point fight. I think that Trevor, we know it. Trevor will. Maybe the fight will look better. Maybe Trevor will hit him harder, and maybe Mafia might take punishment. But he didn't seem phased, or he kept his composure. He didn't seem to ever really let that get to him. He got hit hard. He shook it off. He kept fighting. He didn't look at the other guy like, oh, I'm gonna get you back for this. It seemed like he just wanted to win the fight, and I think that his skill set is just ridiculous. You didn't know what he was going to throw, and he probably had more than what he showed us
Are you
um, all those years.
Mafia right now, Jason? Are you saying
What's
Mafia?
that?
You saying Mafia would take this point fight?
I'm saying Mafia. Yeah, I'm saying Mafia would win that.
Retirement next year. I say Trevor Nash comes out of retirement looking for you. Watch out, man.
I know. That's why I know that. That's why I'm at home. That's
Listen,
why I'm using the internet. I'm saying this from a distance.
I will say fight was the hardest fight for me. Like I said, one day I went Mafia, one day I went Trevor, one day I went Mafia, one day I went Trevor. But Mafia was around the era where you had Tony Young, Kevin Thompson, Richard Plowden, Anthony Price, Terry
Yep.
Creamer. I mean, he had a plethora, a slew of people around
Yeah.
him that were grooming him and bringing him up.
Yep.
But Trevor too. Trevor's he's been a lifer. I remember when he was,
Absolutely.
oh man, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 years old. I think I remember him back at Super Grands, New Orleans, with the long curly hair, doing commas and a
Yep.
yellow key. Uh, and still there. And I mean, and again, hanging with Raymond
Yeah.
and Avery and Ross, and it's so hard to compare errors. And again, I got to stick with my pick,
Yeah.
but fight to me, I'd have to say was the hardest fight, and
Yeah.
either way on this one.
I think that the left leg, the fact that Mafia could do everything that he could do, and he was left side forward a lot, that gave him the edge to me. Because I always felt like if I could kick with my left leg, that this
Left
fight
to
would
left,
be better for me. And I
I
think
think
that was unique for us down here. That Trevor had that left leg that was so incredible. You know.
I agree. That's what makes this fight a little bit tougher for Trevor is lefty. He loves fighting righties. He's used to fighting righties.
Yeah.
He doesn't meet up against a lot of lefties, and neither does Mafia. And he loves to fight left to left. So
Yeah.
this fight's tough. I'm curious to see what people pick. Hopefully, people will pick to see who they agree with, and even after our breakdown of how the fight would go and key elements that I think that would happen. I'd like to see what people think. And another thing is, hey, listen, if at anything you guys hate our picks, at least we're trying to bring up as much information as we can about these guys' fighting styles, some of the fights. We're bringing up a lot of information, and hopefully these guys, when they watch this, they go look up these fights. They go try to listen
Absolutely. Yeah.
talked about and kind of break down and see what we do because I know as a fighter this is what we would do when VHS, at least for me, VHS tapes, it would just take forever to get to the right spot. Unlike how you guys nowadays can just YouTube it, or like these guys nowadays, I should say, can just YouTube any
Yeah.
fight I've been doing.
I mean,
But
these are great fighters. We're comparing great. They're both great, you know. But someone's got to have the edge at the end of the day. Listen, Mike Conroy is my coach. He's the best man in my wedding, but he would pick Pedro over me. I'm sure of it. And I doesn't make me mad. It makes me want to
I hear you, man. I hear you.
do something to change his mind. Like go out there and do some things
So we got this last one. I'm gonna
yeah,
make this one. To me, I think this one's easy. I think Van Dam, I've heard supposedly he fought Waco. He might have a European championship. He's got great legs. I'll give him.
yes,
But to me, Michael J. White, he's from Connecticut, and I will mention I tried to friend request him, and he never he never accepted me. So I'm a little bit heartbroken. Seeing that he's from the East Coast, and I used to watch this guy fight when I was a kid over there in Connecticut. Connecticut's grimy, they're tough. Even though he didn't do a lot of national circuit type stuff, you're from Chicago. You don't have to go too far over there. Go to Detroit, Chicago, Ohio. There's a lot of great fights. You won't have to go all over the place
yeah,
to find good fights. And same thing over there. And I'm telling you, I think Michael J. White, his sparring expertise, the way he approaches martial arts, more of a realistic approach. He's all about the shortest distance, and he's a strong dude. I think he would personally take out Van Damme
yeah,
in a sparring match, let alone if they went at it for real. But point sparring, I think Michael J. White's got the edge in this one, and I'll keep it simple because we're just talking about
yeah.
most well known for actors, but I mean, I guess these guys had their stint in martial arts as
Yeah.
well as so.
I mean, Van Damme is an amazing kicker. He really is. I know.
Hey, he's made everybody want to be a kicker. Am I
Yeah,
right? I
me
looked up.
personally, I
I wanted
really
splits after watching him doing the splits.
yes. I felt like when I started karate that I could already kick because I kind of modeled after Van Damme. And the other thing that I thought was really great was, in his movies, you don't see this as much anymore, but they would show the training, and that was really special. That they highlighted the training,
Definitely.
and right. So we not only got to see him kick, and he was very dynamic and exaggerated movement to kind of you could learn from that, but then also the training, just the idea that you have to you might have some skill, but if you want to be better, you have to train in very extreme circumstances, and you have to learn how to respect your master and be disciplined and have a good attitude. So I was really a fan of Van Damme right from the beginning. I you know met Michael J. White personally, and I know that he knows his stuff as a martial artist. Like he could I'm sure, give me some pointers on how I could develop myself further. He's he understands the martial arts like we understand it. Uh, and I know that for a fact. I know that he's for real, and I've seen him working with. It's always like when you see somebody can teach it, then you know that they understand it when they can actually share it. And I've seen him working with some fighters and kind of blowing their mind on how much he how tactical and strategic he really is, and not only that, he's very strong. He's an imposing figure,
Yes.
and he's also humble in a lot of he's humble, and he carries himself really like a martial artist. Uh, I would want Van Damme to have a chance when he's throwing those kicks up there. Being a kicker, that you could have a chance at throwing some kicks. But I don't think that if he fell for it once, he wouldn't fall for it again. Michael J. White wouldn't fall for it again. He'd probably be able to
I,
get one good kick in, and then Michael J. White would adapt, and he would
I
really
was
know what to do. So I
I was
pick
about
Michael J. White
I was
hands
about to say,
down.
Van Dam get that leg up. All Jai would have to do is sidekick anything and just
Yeah,
try to get him
yeah.
off balance, get him.
Kickers, we get lucky kicks in every now and then just by throwing the kick up there. Sometimes we get that kick in. But uh, I think that would be all that Van Dam would have, and Michael J. White would have something else for him. So I respect Van Dam. I love watching him as a kid, but I don't think that he has a chance in this matchup.
I agree. I have to agree.
Hey guys, that was
Um,
awesome. That
Yeah,
was awesome, guys.
100% on this one. Van Dam looks the part, but I would think Michael J. White absolutely gets it done in the end. And if, like you said, Van Dam got one kick in, Michael J. White might hit him 1 or 2 seconds late. And as we know, that's a game changer. And I think if he got that first kick, it's going downhill from there for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Make
He'll
him
get
pay.
that one 2 point kick in, and then it's over. He might fix his pads or something to try to get out of it after, or like he might start. He might say his knee hurts after that to get out of it. No disrespect. Van Damme's awesome. I think I really admired him and his form, his technique. I'm sure that he could really fight. Um, but Michael J. White is a different type of athlete, also not just a movie star. Um, not just a spectacle. He's an athlete, and he's a martial artist. He's a martial arts. He's a sensei. He's a sensei. So
Training with a lot of high level guys, and I've seen actual video of him training with like MMA guys and all different stuff
yeah,
because he is who he is. And hey, I want to train. Let's work out. Let's get together. So I mean, and that helps out a lot, as you know, training with other martial artists. So, and I think
yeah,
that's the thing. Like you said, he's humble and he like. I
yeah,
think I don't know. A lot of the videos I see of him, he's always trying to be the one controlling the conversation and not necessarily trying to learn from people. So I agree with you. Michael Jai White's 100% a martial artist. And
yeah.
last but not least, I want to thank Alex for putting this together and for having us back together, man.
Wow. Yeah.
We're facing each other, but we're not bound. We're not going fight.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. We
oh,
always end up, as I said, as much as we were rivals, we always ended up in situations like this where we got to work together, and
well,
that's always a joy when you're in the ring, you fighting somebody you're used to that friction in the ring, and then you get to do something like this,
we're
and not only, I mean, we always showed each other respect, but this is now we really get to talk about it and to even kind of really tell how we feel and how much respect. I mean, I learned a lot from you, and like I said, a lot of people did, and it was always a joy and a pleasure to be in the ring with you because I knew that I was really fighting someone who was great, who was a legend, who was a champion, and I was happy to be in that position that I could have a chance at take a shot at the title.
and I was
So every time, every single time we got in the ring, I felt like I was taking a shot at the title.
hey,
So
I
much respect. Yep.
I appreciate it 100%. And I was always trying not to be on one of your highlight reels because you always kicking people with some nasty stuff. And I always try to avoid for the whole 90 seconds, 2 minutes. But like you said, man, I don't know how many times I've been slapped. I must have kissed your toes
I would
more more than all my hands and fingers, fingers and toes together because you definitely have some amazing kicks, brother. And
thank you.
that's why I'm at you hard because I got to get by them because I know if I don't, I'm running into a pretty nasty foot because not only do you, like I said, have great flexibility, but you got great power. And again, this is also another great thing for people to kind of see our mindset and how we break down fights. We're
Yeah.
two fighters. Um, and we're breaking people down, and it's good to kind of see that sometimes we have the same perspective and sometimes we see things a little bit differently. It has a lot to do with our martial arts background and what we know and what we don't know, and that's great to see that
Of
diversity.
course. Yep. Can you still do a split?
I can come pretty darn close.
Yeah, you
I
were
can,
like also one of the only fighters that would bust down into a split, and every tournament. Like you could, like people can't do splits anymore. I don't know what's going on, but you were very flexible. You could, kick your kicks were very uh, tricky. I mean, you got underneath my leg. Actually, that's the first time that happened to me, uh, or wrapped around my leg with the hook kick. I think maybe you kind of enlightened us on that move also, wrapping the leg around and roundhouse kick. And we all took that, and we were all, we tried to run away with that. But I'm sure you were the first one who hit me with that because I
it
didn't
was
know where it came from. I was like, where did that come from? You
they
know?
trust done to me by some other legends of the sport as well, man. It's all good things are passed down.
Yeah. Yep. That's
Thing about
right.
we pass knowledge down, and this again is also another opportunity for us to give back to the sport that kind of made us who we are. That a lot of people really ultimately know us when we travel and go to an event. Even though I'm getting older and less hair, people still do recognize us and pay us respects, and it's well worth it for me. Working hard to get to where we got to, but also I think it's important that even though we're not doing that anymore, even though you still a bit,
A little
to
bit.
way, shape, form. This is another opportunity for us to give back to the sport and try to
Yeah.
make our big. So let's
I'm
do.
gonna see you at a turn. Now I'm gonna see you like when we go back to doing tournaments. I'm sure you're gonna show up now and fight. Now that we got that energy going. I'm sure you can still. Last time we fought, you beat me.
You
And and
want me
and
back? Hit it. You want to get me back?
you had
Alex,
some moves. Like you had some new moves on me. I was like, hey, come with some new moves.
Alex been trying to get me to go back for a
Yeah.
long. Like when you're going to go to another event. I was thinking about U.S. Open this year, but with the way things are going, but definitely I'd like to get maybe another event. You never know, man. But I'd have to be able to train before I get out there because um, you're only as good as your last fight. So if people see you looking like not so good, people are going to go, really, that guy?
I try to get out there, even just to gauge where I'm at, and I feel good when I'm fighting with the new guys half my age. I feel it makes me feel good. So I don't think about the legacy as much. I just love doing. I still love to just get out there.
I
But
was
but hey, do you remember? There's one more story.
talk.
We were such great rivals. Well, I mean, we really were rivals. I mean, it was like I was like a young guy, and I was a little intimidated, and I think a couple times Mike, like hit me, knocked me to the ground, and flex his muscles over me and everything. I was like, oh man, I can't believe that this is happening to me.
I was
But
getting see. I was getting in your mind, man. It was
yeah,
not.
yeah. I mean, you had the maturity, and you had the I was like, okay, all right. And I always, you did. I always knew I was really in the ring with a force of nature. But there was one time that I think when I was living in California, and we ended up being in the same place, and you offered me a ride somewhere, and uh, I thought I didn't know whether to accept it or not
I was
because
gonna I was gonna bring this story up, but I told my wife I don't know if he wants me to bring this story up. But I took you. We were in Malibu.
yeah.
We were at a party, and I wanted to take you for a little drive. And I remember we were like already in the car somewhere dark, and you turned and looked around like where's this guy taking me?
Yeah.
You straight up looked at me and said, "Yo, you ain't gonna like bury me out here and try
You're
to
not
kill
kidnapping me. I thought, yeah.
me."
I was like, you're not kidnapping me, are you? I was
Have
like,
some,
I mean, that's, yeah. I mean, when you're a young guy, you getting beat up in the ring, and we had, I mean, we didn't talk at tournaments. We were like not friends, like that, and but we just happened to be at the same place,
we're out there.
I got in that car, and I thought that was the last car I was gonna get into. I'm just kidding. No, I didn't know. I think I just like it just hit me like, why is he being nice to me?
I still
I think I was maybe like 20, something like that, 19, 20. I was like, why is he being nice to me? I was like, I looked around, right. It was, I didn't know where we were. I said, you're not going to kidnap me, are
yeah.
you? And that's the last time you saw Jason Tanks and Bourelly.
I, I
Yeah,
still
that was great.
I still remember that. I told my wife about it. She was laughing. I told her I was going to bring it up, but then I was like, nah, maybe you don't want me to bring it up. But
Oh, that was hilarious.
but hey, man, I wanted to get to know you because I had nothing but respect for you
I
because
appreciate that.
I knew after all the fights that we had, I knew you were going to be a titan. You were going to be a force, to be reckoned with. So I knew I was going to see a lot of you. I mean, I could hate you inside the ring. I didn't have to hate you outside of the ring. I
Yep,
mean, there's no reason to have anything personal. We were both there just trying to
that's right.
put our mark on the sport and leave our legacy, however
Me.
we. And
Yep,
we were in each other's way, but honestly, we also made each other better. And I mean, if
yep.
people
It made
like
for great fights, having a
you
rival,
to train, you want to try different things, you
Yep,
maybe have, what if I fight Jason? He's lefty. I got to do this. I got to do that. So it's people like you that made me um, be as good as I was, or stay as good as I was for as long as I was. Because if not, I was just going to be a stepping stone for you guys, and I didn't want that to be. But ultimately, man, you guys, I'm proud to see what you guys did. You, Ray, Jody, I mean, all these guys, just amazing.
we're missing what you had, but you had that. You don't get a lot of real rivalries. Nowadays, and I think that adds to the sport. It adds to the fight, like a rivalry. So
Absolutely.
it was like, yeah, we you know were not really acting friendly when we saw each other at tournaments, and that's not something that you see that much anymore.
We met
And it doesn't have to be personal. It just really did make the fights better. It made the whole experience better.
people
You
forget.
know?
Yeah, we had me and you, but we also had me, Jody, Raymond against
Yeah,
you, Trevor, and
yeah.
Damon. It was years of just us battling it out as well with team fights. So we met each other year after year.
We won compete. You remember that? We won compete. Me, you, and Raymond. We won compete. We weren't on a team for a moment, and we got together and won compete. You remember that?
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
back
yeah, yeah.
in California, I believe. And then you fought Raymond too. Remember when you fought Raymond as well
I
out
think
here?
so.
That full contact term. But anyways, hey, listen,
Yeah,
this was
yeah.
a great show. We're gonna have to get better. Alex is promising us all this high end stuff, holders for our stuff. I
Yeah,
have notes. Maybe I can get a teleprompter
yeah.
there,
Yeah.
Alex. That way I don't have to keep reading my notes. I took this real serious, but seriously, hey,
Great
thank you.
show.
Hopefully everybody loves the show, shares the show, and let's just keep this thing going, man.
Oh,
Great show.
absolutely. I appreciate sharing this time with you. And you know, man, it's great to be on here, Alex. Thank you for the opportunity.
Hey, thanks
This
for
is going to be amazing in the future. I
no
mean, it was
man.
amazing today, but we're going to get even better at this. We're going to even get some more spicy matchups. We're going to really make some folks mad. That's
Yeah, piss
that's why
people.
we're doing it, right?
We're fighters and we're used to it, and that's what we've done all our life, and we just deal
Yeah,
with it. So, hey, Alex,
Man.
we're ready to
Stuff.
cut out when you're ready to cut out. So,
Yeah.
thank you, sir. We
Yeah, for
appreciate
sure.
you having
Man,
us here. We can't wait to do this again, sir.
for sure. Hey man, great show.
Where's
Thanks for
Alex?
everybody. Thanks for yeah, can you hear
Uh
me or
I
no?
oh.
can't hear you.
Oh,
Yeah,
you can't
I
hear
can't
me?
hear you, Alex.
There, I can't
Okay.
find Alex. Where's Alex,
I
man?
see. Oh, no, I don't see him. He was there, but I can't hear him. Yep.
Okay, how about
He just
now?
wants us to keep
How
going.
about
He's like,
now?
this
You
show's
guys
good.
hear me
Keep the
now?
Yeah,
spice.
keep it going.
Can you hear me now or no?
I'm gonna be late for my yoga
No?
class though. I
Okay.
gotta,
All
you
right.
know, just kidding. Oh man,
Hold on. Hold on.
Where's he at, man? Where you at, Alex?
yeah, I don't think we couldn't hear him.
I
He
can't hear.
Okay.
just keep telling stories,
Hey,
man.
can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes.
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Okay, yeah, I guess I was off the show for so long that it just cut off the volume. Hey, great show, guys. It was awesome. It was great to hear your insights and everything. And those are tough picks right there as well. And you guys did great with that. For me as a coach, if on that last one, Michael J. White versus Van Damme, I would just tell Van Damme to pump his leg and don't let him bring it down, and two. I'll be going two.
The takedowns really made a difference. The takedowns are like that could change a whole fight. I think they should bring that back. I think we should be able to do takedowns.
Sweep the leg. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
That's a game changer for sure.
Absolutely. Like the sweep, Wacko, but it's different when you can take them down. You can scoop them with your hand and grab them. That's a game changer,
Hey, so the feedback has been great, man. I can't wait for the next one next week. And I'm going to set you guys up with some awesome backdrops and a teleprompter, I guess, for you, Mike, whatever you guys need. Let's keep this thing going. And I think this show is going to be really nice. I'm super excited for this show. And I'm planning on, this is all about giving back, guys. That's what this is about. And thank you for giving back your time. And I want to have more daily shows and just keep growing our sport and putting our sport, make it prime time. You know what I mean? And just blow this thing up. We just hit 1 million followers, and this is nothing. I think we're going to get to like 5 million, 6 million, 10 million one day, and the whole world is going to be watching us. So
we got to give you props, Alex, first guys. Also, I want to give props to people like, other people like Travis and and all these guys, Alex Dingman, and all these guys that are out here that are trying to, do this. This is not something that's easy. It takes time to do this seriously. I mean, I could have just sat here and came off the top of my head, but I really needed to go and do my research, watch these fighters, take down some notes, and really take this seriously. And like I said, hopefully people feel that even if they don't agree with our picks, they're hearing a lot of our way we break down fights and how we're breaking down fighters and what their attributes are and different things like that. Or if anything, giving some information. Like I said, I try to put out a bunch of fights out there that were coming up. Hopefully people look these fights up, get to know your fighters. Don't forget about where a lot of these things came from. You know what I mean?
That's right. They get to know where it came from. And that's one thing I noticed, nowadays they don't always know. Some of the best fighters, they don't really know who was the best then, and they don't know the history. And I mean, that knowledge can even, they're such great athletes. They're amazingly fast. Bailey Murphy, I sparred with him. He was amazingly fast. And just so crisp and polished. But it's good to see, fighters from other eras where they fought differently. I mean, who's going to be the next champion? It's the one who comes out and does something different, something new. That's going to be the next dominant fighter. Right now, there's a lot of fighters that can win on any given event, but who's the next dominant fighter? It's the one who listens to this show. Right?
Yes. This show is going to be weekly. We got a bunch of cool, fun things coming. Thank you guys again.
Thank you, Alex.
I enjoyed it, man. I enjoyed it, and I hope everybody else out there enjoyed it. This is on YouTube. It's on Facebook. Share it.